Sahana bhavatu, sahanam punaktu, sahaviryam karavavahai, tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Together we chant Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, verses 31 to 40.
Pavanah pavatamasmi Ramah shastrabhritamaham Jhashanam makaraschasmi Srotasamasmi janavi Sarganamadhirantascha Madhyam chaivahamarjuna Adhyatma vidya vidyanam Vadah pravadatamaham Aksharanamakarosmi Dvandvas samasikasya cha Ahamevakshayah kalaha Dhataham vishvato mukhaha Mrityus sarvaharashchaham Udbhavascha bhavishyatam Kirti shrirvacha narinam Smritirmedha dhritikshama Brihat sama tatha samnam Gayatri chandasamaham Masanam margashirshoham Ritunam kusumakaraha Dyutam chalayatam-asmi Tejas tejasvinamaham Jayosmi vyavasayosmi Sattvam sattvavatamaham Vrishninam vasudevosmi Pandavanam dhananjayah Muninamapyaham vyasaha Kavinamushana kavihi Dando damayatam-asmi Nitirasmi jigishatam Maunam chaivasmi guhyanam Jnanam jnanavatamaham Yacchapi sarvabhutanam Bijam tadaham arjuna Na tadasti vinayasyat Maya bhutam characharam Nantosmi mama divyanam Vibhutinam parantapa Esha tuddeshatah proktaha Vibhutir vistaro maya.
Any questions on what we have covered so far? Last time we studied about how he is Brihat Sam amongst the Sama hymns. Brihat Sam is the most difficult or the most powerful of the Sama hymns. Sama means Samaveda. Then he is Gayatri among the chandas, among the meters. Gayatri is supposed to be a very sacred chant in India. Every child used to be taught that. It's a very telling chant because it's supposed to have a lot of intonational value. But what most people miss is that what is it saying? We seem to have lost the understanding of why this is such an important chant. Of course, you can argue that it is because of its intonational value, the sound itself. But I would like to argue that it is more than that, because it is, if a culture has said that this is the most important thing, okay, which it have. I mean, in the Vedas, Gayatri is supposed to be the most important, right? So if the culture has chosen something as the most important, surely there is some very good reason for it. Amongst all the scriptures also, Gayatri is supposed to be the most powerful. Why is Gayatri chosen? Think of what it is saying. It's saying Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha. When I say chosen, you do know that every male child in this country at the Upanayanam ceremony, at the thread ceremony, was taught this mantra, was told this mantra. And that sort of began his pursuit of knowledge and things like that. After the Upanayan ceremony, he was supposed to go to the Gurukul and study. The first 7 years, he's supposed to be taken care of by his parents. And then his homeschooling is over, and then he goes off to the Gurukuls. And he will finish his Gurukul education at around the age of 20-25, because at that age, somewhere around that period, he will then come into Grihasthashram. So before his education begins, and in fact, whether his education begins or not, I mean, maybe he did thread ceremony, but they didn't go for whatever reason to the Gurukul. This one thing is taught to every child. Why? Because of what it is saying. What is it saying? Saying Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha. This you can take as the 3 lokas. Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha. Tat Savitur Varenyam. That Savitur Varenyam. We're worshipping that sun. Sun is often used as a symbol of the reality of the truth, because sun is always there, right? Sun also represents light. So the light of consciousness. That's Savitur Varenyam. Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi. Dhi means the intellect. Let my intellect grow. And it's a prayer of surrender to that intellect, to that light, to that knowledge, to the intellect. This culture has chosen that the greatest thing that a human being can do is the development of his intellect. Intellect means viveka buddhi, means your capacity to discriminate. As long as you have that one thing in this world, you have everything. And as long as you lose that one thing, you have lost everything. It's only a question of time. So this is the power of everyone's intellect to take us up. It is that which makes us a human being. If you don't develop this, it's pointless. Today, even our educational system doesn't develop this. What is the education for? It's for a skill, it's for a particular capacity, and its purpose is to earn money. Very, very shallow interpretation. And, when we talk about higher education, we would imagine at least higher education should do something for the intellect. Not even there. It's a very, very sad thing. But if all of us in this class today decide and understand that the most important thing I can do is develop my intellect and work on it. It is not just a class that you attend, but developing the intellect through your own application. It is something like Suppose this was a class on physical fitness. Okay, and you came very regularly to the class. You listened to everything, but you never went back and lifted any weights, never did any jogging, never did anything. Then what use was that whole class, right? So the use of this class is so that we can do Shravana here, we can listen. Because you need something to do Manana on. What are you going to do Manana on? What are you going to reflect upon? So as long as we use it in the right way, it will develop our intellect. Then each one in this class will be a beacon light of their own. And the benefits of Vedanta will spread wide and far. Everybody cannot develop their intellect because it's really not possible. Some people don't have it in them. And that was really one nice thing about the caste system. I hate to say anything nice about the caste system because then everybody gets on my case about how horrible it is. Yes, it is horrible in the way it is practiced. And the reason it turned horrible, and no debate on that, it did turn horrible, was one very fundamental misunderstanding. You know, what is that misunderstanding that just killed the caste system? Killed it means made it a really horrendous thing. You know, what was that one single misunderstanding that made it so bad?
Birth determines caste.
Very good. Yes. Asha. Correct. Correct, Bharat. Correct, Asha. One simple misunderstanding threw the whole system out. That your birth has got something to do with it. It has got nothing to do with it. There's no correlation. It's only got to do with your own nature. That's all it's got to do with. So the different types of nature. There's some people who have an intellect. Like I hope everybody in this class, if you did not have the Brahminical tendencies, that means the tendency to use your head, you wouldn't find this interesting. You would find this very boring, you'd say. वहाँ कुछ होता नहीं है, कोई songs भी नहीं है, कोई they'll find it very boring, very dry. They'll say नहीं, वो तो बहुत dry होता है. But for those who do find it interesting, for them it's like, oh my God. Yesterday Madeline was talking about something and she's, oh my God, like so excited about it. So so that's how students in the class would feel. They're very excited to hear these things. Oh my God, it's all falling into place. I understand life. So for those people who have the intellect, who have basic intellect, Vedanta is meant for them. So it's meant for the Brahmins. Then those who are very active, driven to action, the others, and then there are the traders, and then there are, there are even people who are very good with skills, with arts and skills. And so they should do those kind of things. And there are some people who are not good really at skills or art or intellect or any part of it, and then they do menial work. So each part of society has the right person doing the right job. And so society as a whole is very happy because the people, if you choose your Swadharmic job, you will be very happy. And since it's your Swadharma, you do it very well. If you take a Brahmin, if you take any one of us and tell, let's go fight the war, we will probably mess it up because we don't have that skill. But you tell the Kshatriyas, go fight the war, they'll win the war and come back, isn't it? So each thing is very important. Nobody's looking down on anything or looking up at anything. Each part is important. But we have to understand how to place the round peg in the round hole. You can't put a square peg in a round hole. So for those people who did have an intellect, maybe 5%, 10% of the populace, this knowledge was given to them so that they became extremely sharp at it. And then they were able to achieve anything, any wonders of the world they could achieve, which you've seen, right? Or anything, anybody doing anything, whether it's medical or astronomy or whatever they did, all done by the so-called rishis, meaning people with an intellect. So what is that so the culture, as a culture, it heightened the importance of the use of the intellect, not merely for each person's individual growth, but for the growth of everybody. Vasudeva Kutumbakam. They're not even for the country. Vasudeva Kutumbakam, like everyone, including plants and animals and everything. That is what it was talking about, and that's what's considered such a powerful mantra, because it emphasizes the development of the intellect and surrender. Okay. Let my intellect grow. Let me put it, intellect and surrender in the sense, let me put in the effort to develop my intellect. And last line says, let the intellect grow. Because effects are never in our hands, right? We just get up every morning and study. Gayatri Mantra and twice a day, Sandhya Vandan, between the two dusk periods, evening dusk and morning dawn. So what is Sandhya in English? The two meeting points of day and night. So day and night, at the meeting points, you remember your main job, develop the intellect. And what does that mean? That means in the morning you do your morning studies. In the evening, you do things like bhajans, you do your introspection. All of this will help us develop ourselves. And we have to actually do these things. Otherwise, we'll just talk in the air. Yes, intellect is great, but kaam to karo. Let us see it. Let us see that your intellect has grown. Let us see you do something spectacular. It doesn't have to be spectacular in terms of what the world sees, but that you have done something of use in this world. Okay, Noshir. Therefore, can we say that our scientists were saints, having powerful intellect, which allows the person move out of his body? Yes, we can. Definitely, our scientists were saints. They're all portrayed as saints. Unfortunately, they're portrayed with the ochre robes and the matted hair and all of that, but it's only a pictorial representation of the fact that they were saints. The intellect was fully developed in the sense that not only that they were very bright and very sharp. Many people are very bright and very sharp, but what are they using that brightness and sharpness for? For making an extra buck for themselves, or using that great capacity they have for the welfare of everybody. Yesterday, somebody, I spend my time calling up people and asking if they will help us with the university. We are in need of the funds right now because we are, on the verge of purchasing the land. So we need another 30-40 lakhs at least. So now when I call this person, an old associate, he used to attend classes many years ago, and I told him, and he said, just as your well-wisher, I'd like to say this, that you are a person whose greatest joy is in teaching and writing. Why are you taking on such a big thing? Your happiness lies in teaching and writing and things like that. Why do you take up all this? It will just be an unnecessary burden. Why are you getting yourself bound in all of this? Basically, he's telling me, don't stop the university. And what is the reason? I mean, he didn't say it so straight, of course. And what is the reason? Because it will be uncomfortable for me. I mean, he's a well-wisher. And he's saying, why are you going to take up all this stuff? That attitude which says that I will do what is comfortable for me. That's the attitude that Vedanta has to give. And this is the attitude that our society tries to build into us. You be comfortable. You do what is in your welfare. That doesn't mean you should not be comfortable or you should not do things in your welfare. That's not what it means. But why is the focus of attention in whether I'm comfortable or not comfortable with a certain action? The focus should be, is this action necessary to be done? Not my comfort levels. So that attitude that we have for ourselves and for our friends, even for our family, we want them to be comfortable, right? We want our friends to be comfortable. We want our teachers to be comfortable, our students, but everything is all based on that individual thing. Now, a saint, the saints of the past, they didn't think like that because their intellect had grown enough to see the consequences of actions. So they did never looked upon it in from a narrow perspective. When you don't look at it from a narrow perspective, Nashir, it means you have moved out of the body. That means you've lost your body consciousness. You've lost the sense of your own individuality. You're able to think and see and understand much more than what these two eyes can show you. So, yes, in answer to your question, all our scientists were saints, which means a powerful intellect, which allows a person to move out of his body, correct, which means his body consciousness. How important am I to me in my own life? That determines your sainthood, if any. Or is everything about me? Even, when we want more people to study Vedanta. So is it that we want more students in the class? That's not an attitude to hold. That's a very commercial attitude. Why do we want more students in the class? What are we supposed to get out of it? More people should learn and benefit from Vedanta. That should be our attitude towards it. Otherwise, everything turns out to be about us. That capacity to take oneself out of the picture is the growth of the intellect. Okay, Nashir, thank you. Regardless of which personality is or isn't, the important part is to understand the concept about what it means moving out of the body, because some people say I have outer body experiences and then my astral body goes here and there. That's not what it's talking about. It's talking about seeing something more than your personal comfort, your personal, not making everything about yourself. Okay, Nashir? Okay, Deepak. How important is following your Swadharma in development of intellect? How important is following your Swadharma in development of intellect? Is there a cause and effect relationship? I'm not sure what you're getting at, Deepak. What do you mean?
Janki ji, like you said that, when you follow your Swadharma, everyone follows their nature. Generally, there is a sense of happiness, there is a sense of contentment. We also know that when we are more content, when the mind is calmer, it is the intellect can come to the fore. So therefore, is it possible to be in a completely paradharmic activity, be highly agitated, and still pursue the development of the intellect?
No, of course not. But that you already know.
So to the extent that one is closely following their Swadharma, to that extent they have a tailwind in the develop. They have better chance of further developing the intellect, right? That's how one can understand this.
Yes, except that for some people, development of intellect is not Swadharma at all.
Right.
They can't do it. It's not possible for them. So that's fine. We don't need everybody doing it. We need only the Brahmins doing it. By Brahmins, again, nothing to do with birth, to do with your mental inclination. So people who have the inclination, who have an intellect to begin with, those are the people who we have to get in touch with and present the subject and let them use the subject to develop it further. Those who are not that way inclined, those who are maybe artisans or things like that, it won't work for them. So Vedanta is not for everybody. Yes. So in that sense, also you have to follow your Swadharma. If you're if you're a farmer, if that be your nature, then they're not for you. Not for you means you won't take it up. You can take it up as 5%, 10% of your personality. It's not like a big part of it. Okay.
But just a quick follow-up then, Janki. So how would someone who doesn't have any Swadharma for developing the intellect actually progress? Would they progress by following their Swadharma? A farmer does farming and they progress, and they can also realize even though they may not have the pursuit of the.
Of course. Yeah. This is spiritual. This path is the spiritual development through Jnana Yoga. So spiritual development is possible through other things also. Everybody will have to do all of them, but predominance. So
and therefore one can say that if everyone is following their nature to the extent that they are supposed to, they all develop, and collectively then society develops. And that was probably the reason for the caste system.
Yes and no. If you follow your Swadharma, you won't develop. 95% of people will automatically just gravitate to it. What is the motive will develop you.
Right.
If you're a agriculturalist, if you're a farmer, and you farm with the attitude of how much money can I make out of it, and that's all you're concerned about, then you will neither be contented nor successful. But if you take a more seva bhav towards it, like, as a farmer, I'm doing a very important thing in society. I'm giving people food. Everybody would be dead if this was not done. And so therefore, this is a very important thing that I do. And I do it because it is so important for everybody. How will people eat without it? So when you look at it like that, then you develop. If one can find joy only in our action, I suppose, then it follows we need to follow our Swadharma. Yeah. But yes, Swadharma may not be of action. So, but yeah, you're generally right. Will it develop my intellect? Well, if it is in my Swadharma, then I will full time, as it were. But even if we were little Swadharma, if we very little Swadharma, even then it will help and will grow if we only work at it. I'm not sure what you're talking about, Naushir. Are you trying to answer Deepak? In which case, Deepak has an answer for you.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say is that at the base of every human being is the fact of permanency, the fact of becoming God. At the base, whether we can't hear the voice or not is another matter. But there is some good in us, in most of us, some good. And that will lead us, if we just work at Vedanta, it will just lead us to better ourselves. That's all. You may become a better Kshatriya, you may become a better trader, but you will be doing it more for seva or defending the poor or the weak than conquering, as it were.
Okay. Fine. So I think you're answering Deepak. So Deepak has heard that. Now, where were we? Gayatri. Yes. Gayatri is the most sacred chant because of its intonation and also because of its meaning. which is, may I put in the effort for my intellect to develop, and may my intellect develop. May my intellect rise. That means it shows the joint aspects in human life of effort and surrender. These two have to go hand in hand. Salil, you have a question?
Yes, Hari Om Janki ji.
Hello.
So, obviously, in the Bhagavad Gita, it said that one should ideally follow one's Swadharma to the extent that the Lord says it's better to die in Swadharma rather than do a paradharmic activity. So, if a person's inherent nature is to steal, he's a thief. So, does that mean that he should continue doing that?
Yeah, yes.
Or somebody whose inherent nature is violence, should he continue killing people?
Yes, that's what the Lord said, right?
Well, that seems a bit,
Odd. That's because we only read a part. His instruction is very clear. He says, follow Swadharma. But that's step one. Then what is step two? If you're a robber, rob. If you're a violent person, be violent. Step one. Correct. What did he say was step two?
Surrender.
Now that will come later. What was step two?
For the welfare.
Larger good.
Very good. For the greater good. So if your nature is of stealing, steal. If your nature is to be violent, be violent. Step one. Step two. Whatever you do, do for the greater good. That, how can you forget? We did take one line of the steps.
So Janki, Robin Hood is following his Swadharma then. He steals and he gives to the poor.
He's following his Swadharma and he does for the greater good in that context. Naim, if you start doing this in today's context, you go to jail. So you please don't try doing that stuff. In that context, there's a context in which he needed to do that thing for the greater good. Today, for greater good, we don't need to do any such thing. We don't live in that. But yes, if such a situation arises, that the same situation as was then, Richard the Lionhearted has gone to on the crusade. His brother was not so good an administrator, let us say. And under that circumstance, where the poor was suffering because of this, he took certain actions in that context. Yes, correct. For the greater good. But for the greater good doesn't necessarily have to be like that. Even if you're a thief, let us say. Okay, and now there is no such context for you to do these things. But then maybe you become a spy and serve your nation. Whatever. If you're violent and, then don't think that violence is a bad thing. Violence is not a bad thing. It is where you are applying the violence that becomes a bad thing. The aggressive people are needed in society just as much as passive people are needed. By aggressive, I mean the English word aggressive. Just as much. You need aggressive people at some times. That is why even your gods are shown like that. Durga. Durga is one form of the goddess. Annapurna is the other form of the same goddess. Annapurna. Annapurna is she who gives food. So she is the loving, the gentle, the one who gives food. She herself is Durga. She'll come and chop off heads and she'll wear the skulls also. And meaning unashamed. Not ashamed, not like saying, oh, I'm getting angry, I'm so sorry. Unashamed, because you know you're doing it for the right reason. Yes, Salim.
Yeah, one more question. So, it applies to my children as well. So, when they were in class 10 or 9, we got an IQ test done where they see which part of the brain is more developed and which profession or area of activity would be more suitable. Is that something in reconciliation with your Swadharma, if it says that you go towards science or you go towards arts?
Yeah, sure. Whatever way, easiest way is for parents to do it, make lists and all that. And if there are modern methods of doing it, that is also fine, as long as you get to know the Swadharma.
So because I'm facing a little bit of issue with my younger son who has just joined my business. I mean, I'm not sure what his real nature is. Will he be happy in doing business or should he do a job or what? So it's a bit of a challenge at the moment.
Yeah, we can talk offline about it, or various ways in which you can understand his Swadharma. But now let us get back to seeing what the Lord has to say about his all-pervading form. Yes, I mean, these are all very serious concerns that parents have, and I'm sure many of you also have the same concern as Salil. We can talk about Swadharma some other time in first and most important step in life. But it's not really in context, so let's continue with the chapter. So where were we? We were at the Gayatri of meters, because the Gayatri symbolizes or talks about the development of the Dhi. Dhimahi, may my intellect grow. May I put in the effort to make my intellect grow, which means my morning studies. I have to do that. If I'm attending class, I just have to do it. Can you all tell me, sorry to ask you this question, it's an invasion of your privacy, I understand. How many people study in the morning at any point, okay, or study in the day at any point, at least 5 times a week? Can you all give me a thumbs up or a something, or a hand up or something? Okay, we're not doing bad at all. Okay, very nice. Okay, so the rest of you who haven't, very good. Okay, so quite a lot. That is wonderful. It's wonderful to see that. And I hope that you are yourself seeing the benefits of doing that. So 6 days in a week. So those who are doing 5 days can make it 6 days. Those who are doing it 6 days can make it 7 days. Those who are doing it a little later can make it a little earlier. Each one of us has one step more to take. Let's take that step. It's wonderful that everyone is doing it. I mean, the fact that so many of us are doing it is itself a wonderful thing. It's the greatest gift we can give the world, is to just do our own studies. Become an honest man, and there will be one less scoundrel in this day, in this world. So great, wonderful. So our whole culture is around developing the intellect. If you have even a little chance of developing the intellect, then do that, because that would be the most productive thing you did for yourself. And from the fact that you all are doing it and you all are still attending classes, I'm sure you all have also seen the benefits of it. It seems to be yes, Rajneesh, many attending the class the week after. Yes, but attending the class is always easier than doing your morning study, because attending the class is some external thing. Internal is morning study. I task myself with each thought, is it leading to my Brahman? If not, I discard it right there. Yeah, fine, Noshir, but more than even that is morning study, because the interpretation of that line will keep changing as our morning study becomes more and more and more. The wonderful thing about Vedanta is in class 1 and PhD, you learn exactly the same thing. But your understanding of that is what makes the difference between class 1 and PhD. So every morning study, even if you spend just 10 minutes at it, is just necessary. And you yourself will see. I mean,
I just refer the book, sometimes just a poem book, sometimes a Vedanta treatise before I start work. And I just tell myself, Lord, I hold your feet, lead me to you. That's it. Just about 15, 20 minutes and that's it.
Yeah, as long as you're studying, 15, 20 minutes is great. But studying means 20% reading, 80% thinking. That means you try and understand the concepts. When you struggle to understand the concepts, then you will know that there is a lot in that concept still for me to understand. We cannot practice what we have not understood. And if understanding itself is incomplete, then what are we going to practice? So just every day improving the way we understand that. Every single day. There are no holidays. Even if you're going on a holiday, do it. I'm not being mean to you, but try. I know it's difficult. I'll tell you why it's difficult. The biggest reason it's difficult is because in your own house, you have another room to go to. On a holiday, even if you get up before everybody else, there's no place for you to really go to sometimes. So you have to stay in the dark. Never mind. Sit in the dark and think about these things, because the thinking is more important than the reading. So don't let it go as far as possible. Of course, there'll be some times where it's impossible. You're in the middle of a flight, or you've arrived in the morning after like one of those red-eye flights. It's not possible. So don't be stupid about it, but do it as far as possible. Okay, of the months, I am Margashirsha. Now, Margashirsha comes at different points of the year, depending on what you are following. Comes like like November-ish, or a little later. I mean, it comes, depends which thing you're following, but basically it's good season. And of seasons, I am the flowery season. That is spring. Kusumakaraha, the season that makes the flowers. Very interesting usage, Kusumakaraha. Kusuma karoti iti. Upapat tat purush samas, the one who makes the flowers, which is talking of something else. Remember, we studied about this, the one's kind of samas, which is referring to something else. So this is one who makes, not something else, sorry. One who makes it himself, right? Sorry, that was my mistake. It is where it's the maker of the flowers, the season, the flowery season, meaning spring. Okay. So basically, these conducive environments are very nice for us to think of the higher aspects of life. Suppose you're sitting quietly in a place, or you're in beautiful nature. These kind of things are conducive. It's not necessary that you think of something higher, but it's conducive to thinking of something higher. And therefore, he calls himself these good periods of the year. Now, having said a lot of good things, now a little bit negativity also he has to introduce. No, any good author has to put some good and some bad. So let's see. Dhyutam chalayatam tejasvinamaham jayosmi vyavasayosmi sattvam sattvavatamaham dhyutam chalayatam tejasvinamaham Jayosmi vyavasayosmi Satvam sattvatamaham dhyutam chalayatam asmi. Among chalayatam, among those wo chal karne wala mein, amongst the people who are fraudulent, who are up to all sorts of hanky-panky, I am gambling. Gambling is considered to be the worst of things. Why? Because the highest character is one who does so much for us without wanting anything in return. The highest character. Middling character is a little like business. I'll do a lot for you and you do a lot for me. But the lowest character is I will do very little and you do a lot for me. And this is gambling. Means I will give you 5 rupees and if I win, then you have to give me 50 rupees. So it is considered to be a very negative attitude. The opposite of this is to be like a cow. Why do we worship a cow? A cow's attitude in life is it will eat dry hay and give us glorious milk. What an exchange is this? Takes from us dry hay, it goes and works in our field. It gives us milk to drink. Milk which is supposed to be very nutritious for everybody. What kind of exchange is this? In exchange, all you give the cow is a little bit of dry hay. That attitude demands a minimum. Services maximum is the highest form. And in gambling, it's just the opposite. It is demands a maximum. My giving is the least. That is why lotteries and gambling and all that sort of thing is not looked upon, not very respectable thing. And in India, the maximum number of people gamble at what time? They don't gamble rest of the year.
Shravan.
Diwali.
Diwali.
Imagine that. You're celebrating the life of Rama by gambling. Life of Rama is just the opposite. It is just 100% service, no demands. And we celebrate it by doing the opposite, which is, let me see how little I can give and how much I can get. Very, very interesting how cultures change with time. So that in itself is bad. Now, can you imagine the state of a person who cheats at gambling? So firstly, gambling itself is bad. Then you cheat at gambling and create such a mess, which is what happened in the Mahabharata. So it is all contextual and it is actual both. So if you didn't know the context, even then gambling is the lowest. But if you do know the context, then it is cheating at gambling. That means पहले तो मुझे बहुत कम देना है और वो जो कम देना है उसमें भी मुझे fraud करना है. Can you imagine? So dhyutam chalayatam asmi. I am gambling among the fraudulent. Why gambling among the fraudulent? Because he's the best at everything. In all chala also, I am gambling. In other words, you'd say, why does he have to introduce such negative things over here? Because this Atman supports everything. The Atman supports the good and it supports the bad. It is the neutral thing. This same Atman which supports the gambling is also Tejasvi. It is the Tejas in the Tejasvi now. Amongst the Tejasvi, amongst the Tejas is a construct. I don't know what you would translate that in English. Maybe a glow. In the comics, they show it nicely. They show it like a halo around your head. So that is the Tejas they're referring to. It means that light that shines out of the face of a spiritually evolved person. Even in our class, we begin every class by saying Tejasvi Nama. May we become Tejasvi. May that spiritual luster grow through us. May that spiritual luster be seen in our actions, in our emotions, in our thoughts. May our actions be worthy of being Vedanta students. May our emotions be worthy of being Vedanta students. May our intellect be worthy of this noble path that we have taken. So may I be Tejasvi. Tejasvi is what comes to a spiritually grown person. It is a brightness, a luster. So I am gambling among the fraudulent. I am the Tejas of the Tejasvi. I am Jaya. I am victory. Now, why victory? Victory because in the world today, we are failures. Why are we failures? Because in this battle between world and us, we are always losing. The world is taking away something from us, usually our happiness from us. We're always losing this battle between the world and us. So he says, I am victory. A victory also contextually, because whoever Krishna is in this war, whoever he is with, is going to win. So I am Jaya, I am victory. If you have spent your whole life in getting things from the world, even the noblest things, even the good things, whatever you have spent your life doing, and you have gained them, this has been a failure. Because true victory is the victory of the self. If you have not gained the self, then what use is it collecting all the pennies of the world? Isn't it? No matter how much I gain in the world, there's still some lacuna left, some emptiness, some futility. So I am Jaya. I am victory. The true victory is the victory of the self. Have I reached that? If I have been affected by the world, I have been defeated. If I have attained the world also, I have been defeated. Victory, true victory, is the achievement of the self. Aham vyavasaya. I am determination. Because that is how victory comes. You conceive a goal and you will stick with it until it has been reached. Determination is the most important aspect, right? To reach. You may be small, you may be ignorant, you may be full of negativities. But what is that one thing that will transport you to your goal? Is that you're determined to get there. If you are a PhD student, you have started, but you're not determined, you will never get that degree. But if there is somebody in first standard who is determined that I want a PhD, even though he's in first standard, he will make sure he gets the PhD. So where you are doesn't matter. How determined are you to reach the end? That's what matters. How much can you understand that cause and go for it? So I am Jaya. I am Vyavasaya. Because Vyavasaya leads to Jaya. Determination leads to victory. Aham. Sattvam. Sattvatam. Maham. Among Sattvatam. Among the Sattvic, I am Sattva. So if you are reading between the lines, you will see that he has covered Tamas, Rajas, and Sattva. Tamas is obviously
Gambling.
gambling. Okay. Rajas is you're appealing to Jaya and Vyavasaya. And then there's Sattva, of course. And of course, depends on how you do it. You can take Tejas to be part of Sattva, or you can take, but you can see that there are references to this, whichever way you want to do it. And if you want to do it very, very technically, you can do it as Rajasic Sattva, Sattvic Rajas, you can do all of this stuff. But broadly speaking, if you're not going into all the technicality, you can see that there is very clear indications of Tamas, Rajas, and Sattva. Basically, what is it? That Atman supports everything, the good, bad, and the ugly. Tamas, Rajas, and Sattva. That is what the point is. I am the dullest. I am the middling. I am the highest. Among the dullest, I am the most dullest. Among the middling, I'm the most middling. And among the highest, I'm the highest. I can't say most highest. Okay, so I am the highest. So taking care of every aspect of it. Shall we do verse 37? Vrushinam vasudevosmi Pandavanam dhananjayah Muninamapyaham vyasaha Kavinamushana kavihi Vrushinam vasudevosmi Pandavanam dhananjayah Muninamapyaham vyasaha Kavinamushana kavihi. So this verse can be the most egoistical verse or the least egoistical verse depending on your vision of it. Vrushinam, among the Vrushis. Vrushis is the clan that Krishna is from. Vrushinam Vasudevosmi. Among the Vrishnis, I am Vasudeva. Amongst the Vrishni clan, I am Krishna. Vasudeva means son of Vasudeva. You know, if you increase the first letter, then it becomes son of or product of. So Vasudev's son is Vasudeva. So Vrishni Nam Vasudeva. Among the Vrishni clan, I am Krishna. Among the Pandavas, I am Dhananjaya, Arjuna. Among the Munis, I am Vyasaha. And among the Kavis, I am Ushana Kavi. So what, according to you, most egoistical or least egoistical? Most egoistical because everybody over here is, or not everybody, at least three of them are actually involved in this, right? Krishna is saying, I am the best among the Vrishnis. Dhananjaya is best among the Pandavas. And Vyasa is best among the Munis of the sages. So, Krishna is our hero. You can say Pandava is also our hero. Vyasa is our author. I'll say, how come you're so egoistical? You're saying we are the best. This is actually, depends. It could be egoistical, or it could be the least egoistic. He has, suppose he's saying among the trees I'm Ashwatha. And objectively has chosen something as the best. Now it so happens among the Vrishni clan, Krishna is the best. Nobody is debating that. Among the Pandavas, Arjuna is the best. So now to say that is just a statement of fact. And if you can say it as a statement of fact, it shows that you are the not egoist. It shows that you said it just like you said everything else. Among the sages, obviously Maharishi Vyasa is the greatest because look at the work he has done. So if you can say it as a fact, it shows you're devoid of ego. If you say it with any sense of pride, that is ego. Anyway, we'll continue about it next time.